Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Today we have an absolutely outstanding interview with the one and only, the legend in the martial arts space, the property guru, the multi-millionaire, the TV personality, Mr. Matt Fiddes.
What a wonderful intro, Gary.
Good. I'm glad you liked it.
I like that. How long have you been planning that for? That's very good. That's much better than the usual. You didn't even mention Michael Jackson, so I was very impressed.
No, he's well in the past, mate. There's too much to talk about now that you need to be bearing in mind for the future, right?
Yeah, exactly. That was 15 years ago he passed away, but there you go. Well, I want to get across some interesting topics in this podcast. I want this to be like no other podcast out there, more like a masterclass of information and lessons that people can take away, implement, and I want to cut through the BS. And I think we're going to upset quite a few people, but I want to dig into it deeply. And rather than charging people thousands of pounds for time with us, which we both charge an awful lot of money for doing what we do, we want to give something away. And we thought this would be mutually beneficial for your listeners and for people that follow us both.
Nice. So let's kick things off then. Going back to your beginning of your business journey then, what inspired you to start your martial arts business?
I started my martial arts business because I had this terrible school bully at school called Anthony, kicking me under the shins, stealing my milk. I know it's real trivial, tiny stuff. Back then it was a big thing. Bullying me, no confidence, just absolutely kicked the confidence out of me at school, scared, making up illnesses for my mum to get a day off school. And because of that, the kid next to me introduced me to martial arts. And that bully has become the best thing that's ever happened to me. For every kick under the shin was my next million. And I thank him for it every time I see him. He actually works my organisation now as my anti-bully ambassador.
So taking the mindset of that bully, what were your biggest challenges expanding that business from when you started out then?
Biggest challenge I had expanding my business was there's no blueprint. No one done it before. I was the first in the martial arts industry to go out there and find what was going on around the world, in America mainly, and commercialize a martial arts and implementing it. And the biggest challenge, Gary, was standing up to the haters, the trolls, the gossips, the graffiti, smashing your car up because you're going against the grain. The word I like to use on stage a lot: observe the masses and do the opposite. That's what you need to be successful. So that was my biggest challenge. Was never been done before, no blueprint. I had to go out there in a big wide world, find out someone who's done it before, study them, make myself greater than them, and just believe in myself and stand up to the haters.
So how did you manage to scale it so successfully under all of those challenges and problems?
I had the best mentors I could have wished for right from an early age. From the age of 17, I already knew I had to study and read the right books. First book I ever read was Tony Robbins' Unleash the Power Within, and then Awaken the Giant Within. So I Unleashed the Power and Awaken the Giant Within. And then I went to one of his events, and that's great with the motivation stuff. That keeps you pumped and all the rest of it. But being motivated is not enough. So I went out there and studied the people that were where I wanted to be, exactly where I wanted to be. I viewed the houses I wanted to live in. I drove the cars I wanted to drive one day. And that's what motivated me. And I completely fucking forgot the question, but it doesn't matter.
It worked. And you said that you read a book by Tony Robbins, Awaken the Giant Within. Most people read books and it becomes shelf development. Why do you think most people don't take action?
I think most people don't take action because they are conditioned by the school system to go to school, go to college, go to university. And that's not going to get you where you necessarily want to be. Now, not everybody wants to be a multi-millionaire, but I'm pretty sure everybody wants to be able to not worry about bills, have private health care for your kids and your family, your grandma and granddad, etc. You other half, drive nice cars, holidays, and so forth. But I think people just get conditioned by the system so that we can pay the most tax possible, which is that employees get taxed first, NI comes off, which is another tax in disguise, pension contribution, and you got to live off what's left. So you get taxed on your gross. Whereas us as entrepreneurs, we are allowed to live, put our expenses for our business within reason, as long as it's legit and legal, and we can pay tax on what's left. So it's a conditioned system, which I think is wrong and completely outdated.
So with all that in mind, if we need to improve the school system, what would be the things that you change?
The current school system in 2024 is nothing more than a babysitting system. That's honestly what I believe. So that people can go out and work, put their kids in childcare from 9 to 3 or 9 to 5 or whatever your school hours are. So you can go out to work and pay the highest taxes possible. 93% of the population work for the top 3%. So they want you to be employed, and they need to provide you with a babysitting service for that, which is what the school system is about. I would change everything, absolutely everything. I mean, they're learning stuff that is not relevant to life. How to draw dinosaurs, how to colour in certain things, what happened in Egypt 33 million years ago, what meteorite come out of space and smashed into Earth billions of years ago. We need to know what to do now, challenges are going to happen in the future, and work on that. What's good debt, bad debt, what's good nutrition, stuff that happens in kids' lives that's going to impact their adult life that they don't realise yet. Not everything's going to be great. You are going to lose loved ones. We both lost our mothers very, very young due to illness. They don't teach you this, how to deal with grief. They teach you complete and utter nonsense that is not needed. I just think it's a glorified babysitting service, and the government need to change before the school system change. But it all needs to be updated. Entrepreneurs should be running this country, not politicians.
So we have people in our businesses. If they have the right mindset, then we can potentially train the skill set. But if we've got the wrong people running the school system and we've got the wrong people running the business, who needs to get fired?
It starts at the top, doesn't it, with the school system, the government. The government needs to be fired first. I'm good friends with Nigel Farage. Love him or hate him, he's a lovely guy. And I know him personally. I'm not someone who prejudge him from the outside for some short clips that's taken of him. You've met Nigel Farage. He's a lovely bloke. And he's been an entrepreneur. He's been an investor. He is an entrepreneur. He understands that we're taxed too high. NHS is knackered. We need private healthcare. The roads are knackered. Public transport's knackered. Doctors aren't paid enough. Nurses aren't paid enough. But until the people who take our tax money and use it the right way, until that changes, they're giving money away to wars that we're not even involved in. And because the money is being shipped off to help wars that we're not involved in, then that's putting us involved. That's getting our country at risk and being threatened and so on. So it all starts at the top. The government needs to be a shake-up. It should be full of entrepreneurs and so forth, not university graduates who've all inherited homes from their rich families who are part of this select group of people. And I'm ranting on about this. I'm very passionate about it because I get a lot of hate when I talk about Donald Trump when he was in power in the States. But Donald Trump's been through the real life of hard knocks. He's lost his friends. He had lost his whole workforce once and a helicopter went down. He owns billions worth of property. He knows how to run a business. And England, UK, wherever you are, the economy is a business. So why the hell have we got university graduates running our country for us? It doesn't make any sense at all.
With entrepreneurs such as yourself, building massive businesses, paying huge taxes, recruiting huge teams, how do you encourage entrepreneurs to do the job of a politician effectively?
It's difficult for any entrepreneur to want to start and scale a business in the UK at the moment. If you're starting off a business in the UK at the moment, my advice to you would be do not start off a business in the UK unless you've got family here and commitments that you have to be here. Because there's countries you can move to like Dubai, Cyprus, etc., where you're hardly going to get taxed. They're very cutting edge thinking. They push success. Whereas the UK, you're taxed to death. You get nothing for the money. And most of our entrepreneur friends, Gary, and billionaire friends are leaving. They've had enough. And it's only set to get worse. And I just think that needs to change first. The tax needs to come down, or we need to get something for it. And I think people like us who get up, work hard, work late, put the hours in, and have a family, go through challenges, we shouldn't get penalised with our tax bills. We should be, the harder you work, the less tax you pay. And the ones who don't want to work hard, they pay the most tax. That's the way it should work. The people who are on benefits for the wrong reason. I know there's people out there with disabilities, I understand that, and they deserve it. But there's a lot of people who milk the system and sit at home, and we're funding their lifestyle. Get off your backside, get out there, get to the gym, lose some weight, get yourself in shape, read the right books, consume the right content, start your own business up, and get going. Turn your passion into your profession.
So bringing it back to the business then, how do you manage to stay ahead of the competition in the martial arts industry?
In the martial arts industry, I've always said to myself, I'll never have any competition. I never will. It's almost like when Arnold Schwarzenegger, with his big muscles back in his day, and he had the big, huge biceps, and girls were say, "Oh, look at you. I wouldn't want my boyfriend to look like you." And he would say, "Don't worry, they never will," because he was so confident. No one's ever going to catch me. I tell you why. I am the hardest working guy out there in the martial arts industry, and not just that. I'm the hardest working guy out there in the entrepreneur space in terms of cutting edge ideas. What's coming next? What's going to collapse next? What's the next trend? What's going down? What's working? What's going viral? I've built a brand, not a personal brand. They're two very different things. So the fact that we're this mega martial arts brand, we're worldwide, we're opening up 2,000 more locations. No one's going to catch us. Oh, I never allow it. We're always ahead of it. We don't have competition. There's no such thing. And martial arts is not my competition. My competition is swimming lessons, violin lessons, other after school clubs, football, soccer, rugby. People need to understand that what I do is education, and education will never die. So if anyone's thinking they're going to be able to catch me, ain't going to happen. Give up now.
So what strategies do you use to keep your brand presence and keep ahead of everybody else?
I use every strategy possible to keep my brand relevant. Relevance is key, and I learned that from many of my mentors, superstar ones and non-superstar ones, billionaire ones. You have to stay relevant. Things change daily, consistently. And it used to be mainstream media was the thing. Then there'll be a certain publication of mainstream media, radio stations, but only a certain radio stations. Now it's podcast media that's massive. And if I didn't embrace this, then I'll be missing out. I've done, by the time this comes out, I've done over 60 podcasts this year. And I do it because it's the latest thing. And it's great. I can get my opinion across. You should be working offline media, online media, mainstream media. You should be getting yourself on TV. You should be working absolutely everything. Don't ever put your eggs in one basket. You've all heard that saying. It's so true. You need to be leveraged all across everything. So if one thing don't work, then it doesn't matter. Mine's backed up. And my franchises are taught by the 5th of every month, they have to have 15 offline ideas in place for their marketing ready for the next month. So if you get deplatformed from Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or whatever else there might be, Twitter, it doesn't matter. Because your backbone of your business is being supported by offline. And I built my empire, my millions in offline marketing. And it's so important. People don't talk about that anymore.
But most people are lazy. They won't post on social media. They won't do the leaflet dropping. They won't make the phone calls. They won't get up early. Everyone has got an excuse. Yeah. Everyone is not willing to do the hard work and to put in the energy and the effort and the time that is required. Everyone chases this lifestyle entrepreneurship, but realize that it takes 10, 15, 20 years to get to that point. It's the iceberg analogy. Everybody wants the tip that's above the sea, but aren't willing to do the hard graft that you don't see.
I love that. I love that. And you're so right. And I'm guilty of it too. Look, to do a post, you're talking about 3 minutes, aren't you? Anything. And if you do it at the right time to hit your right people, I find 8 in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 8 o'clock at night is a perfect time where either parents have got their kids ready for school and are about to leave, or they put their kids to bed or about to pick them up from school. You're talking a few lines, a picture, live video, 10 minutes, boom, post, done. That's your social media done for the day. That keeps you relevant and out there. And then you can get someone to download that and put it across all the social media platforms. That's exactly what I do. If I do a live on Facebook, I'll give that to one of my team members. But by the way, the probably people think that's right for you, you're rich. This is somebody who's paid hardly anything a VA. They'll download that, put it on LinkedIn, put it on Twitter, put it on TikTok, and everything else that's out there, Instagram stories. And that's took me 10 minutes of my time. If you can't do that once a day, all throughout the year, then you're an idiot and you don't deserve to be rich and have money, because it's not that difficult to be rich. It's a lot harder to be poor.
But I can't do content because I've got a spot on my face. My hair looks bad. I haven't done my makeup. I'm out of shape. All these things and excuses are just excuses that they haven't set their goals further enough ahead to go and work on the things that actually transform and change their life. They want the baby, but they're not willing to go through the labour pains to get it.
I've got 6 kids, right? So I've seen the labour pains, and that's probably quite an extreme example. But yeah, interestingly enough, Gary, the people who don't care about filters, who just go live or put a video out, no makeup on, especially the women who've got spots on their face, or got a rash or whatever, or I haven't got makeup on or look tired, those videos will do better than the filtered ones. People want to buy from real people. They need to know, like, and trust you. They don't want some looking alien looking filter where you look perfect. They want to be able to relate to you. If you could go back and ask, now I've got the next generation of students now going through my schools. It's been going nearly 3 decades. So people who trained with me, their kids are now coming through. I've asked them, what made you join Matt Fiddes Martial Arts? Why did you pick me when I was more expensive at the time? It was an unknown concept and I was so young. What made you pick me over the local martial arts schools charging 50p a class? They say, because you represent what I want my child to become at the time. You call me sir, ma'am, Mr., Mrs. Jones, and you look the part, you're in shape, and I wanted my kid to be like you, or an adult, I want to be like you. You need to represent what they want to become.
So going back to the martial arts, it can't have always been easy, even with your hard work, your ethics and everything that you've got. Can you give me a time when you've had to pivot and change and do a different strategy to get a better outcome?
Yeah, so initially when I started out, there was literally no blueprint for the martial arts industry business at all. You pay £3 a class, you collect it in an ice cream container. If you remember those big ice cream containers you get, put it in and take it to the bank the next day, done. And that was it. Simple as that. The problem you had is when the sun's out, no one turns up the classes and you didn't get paid. So it's very up and down, inconsistency. And that was an issue. Also, martial arts have not been changed for thousands of years. So the first, it'd be 2-hour lessons. So the first hour would consist of front jab, and then the second hour would be front kick, and then the next lesson you might do high section front kick, and then double jab. And repetition is the mother of skill. It's very important, but you got to learn to disguise repetition. That's the important part of it. So what I did is I went against the grain, and I transformed it. I put people on direct debits. I put an education system in because I got taught very early on that education will never die. Fads will come and go, and we've all seen step aerobics and the slidey thing and Taibo and stuff. My stuff will stay forever because I'm in the education business. I'm not in sport leisure. There's a place for that. That's UFC. That's another type of martial arts network. I'm here to transform your life or your child's life and make you a better person. I'm in the personal development world through my schools. So the challenges I had was being the first, back up against the wall. So I was living in a bedsit, taking £3 lessons, saying, oh no, by the way, you got to sign a direct debit now. It's now £49 a month. And that stabilized my income, but no one done it before. So the whole industry came down on me saying, you've got to teach Taekwondo counting in Korean. You've got to say the names of the kicks in Korean. You can't put music on the lessons. Who do you think you are? You can't rewrite your curriculum because Grandmaster So-So's auntie's uncle, who we worship, who we've never met, says you can't do that. And I did it. And I got kicked out of my martial arts organisation because of that. But it's the best thing that ever happened to me. Funny enough, a few years later, they all tried to copy me and monetize it, and now it's the norm.
So in going through that journey, how do you balance innovation with the business's brand and core values?
Okay, that was a posh question, isn't it? That is a posh question. Can you translate that into a non-educated school of hard knocks?
How do you balance staying ahead of the time whilst trying to stay to that true core value that it's education and it's about kids and growth?
So to be on the radar of balancing and staying ahead of the time, you always have to be looking out. Now, you may think, oh, I must sound work obsessive. I've got 6 kids. I love them to bits. They are my world. So is my wife. We have a wonderful marriage. She comes everywhere with me. You just met her just there. We're very rarely apart. And I don't believe work-life balance exists, but we'll come to that at a later stage. But my job as a leader, as a franchisor, as a mentor, guru, whatever you want to call me, is to be scanning and looking all the time. So your network is your net worth. I hang around with the world's elite entrepreneurs, people who are really smashing, the real ones, the genuine ones. I also make sure I care for what I consume, Gary. So you're not going to find me watching a chick flick movie with my wife. Well, you could find me watching a chick flick movie with my wife, but I'll be laying down cuddling her, watching it. I'll be sleeping, having a little nap while she's watching that. I only consume Netflix documentaries that I'm going to learn from, or podcasts like this that I'm going to learn from real people. I watch your podcast, for instance, and I think that's important. Be careful what you consume, who you surround yourself with. And one of my biggest words of advice, and I really think it's true, is love your family, your grandparents, etc., but don't take any advice off them, because generations change, times change, and what the grandparents think is right, pay off your home, get rid of your mortgage as quick as you can, stay in that same home forever, is right for them, because they had World War II to deal with, bombs coming down. They're grateful just to have their 2-bed house. My grandparents lived in their house for 78 years. That same house, I couldn't think of anything worse. I think times have changed now. So times change from industrial age to digital age to an age now where in the speed of learning, I spent over 1.5 million in personal education going backwards and forwards to America because I didn't have this technology around. Now people just got to watch this and they can come away with what I spent a fortune on and just learn it in a heartbeat from our podcast, from attending one of your events, one of my events. And it's changed. So love your family. Don't take advice from them.
So what would be the advice that you give to your kids right now in 2024?
Okay, that's a good question because that goes against the grain. Because I just said, love your family, so they shouldn't take their advice from their daddy. Now, my kids understand that their daddy's not normal, that I am an entrepreneur. I sit my children down and I say to all 6 of them, even the 5-year-old gets it, this is not normal. The Lamborghinis, the Ferraris, the mansion, what we do is not normal. You're very privileged because daddy gave up everything. I had to sacrifice a lot. My life has been sacrificed, literally. I don't want people in tears, oh, you poor multi-millionaire. But literally, hardly any holidays, no nights out. Didn't have my first alcoholic drink until I was 27. That was only because I was going for a divorce. Painful losses of friends, high-profile friends, family members, etc. And my own children get it. And I think that's important. You need to lay down the rules with your wife. Rules is a strong word. What you're trying to achieve with your wife and your kids. So they understand, as an entrepreneur, when you react at 11 o'clock at night and you're going to take a call to a client who needs your help, they get it. And that's why their life's different. So all 6 of my kids don't ever moan when daddy has to go and leave our movie room, halfway movie to take a call. They get it because that's what pays for their lifestyle. And I'm all about building generational wealth, which they're going to benefit one day. And they understand that too. There will be hard times, global warming, future pandemics, lockdowns, you name it, any reason to come in. A lot of people made billions out of that pandemic, especially online businesses. And I think if you sit down with your kids and your family, they will get it. But your grandparents, your parents never will.
So how do you handle that criticism when it comes to these conversations and also your business? Because you're going to get it.
Yeah, I love haters. I know you know that, and it's one of my. I've had to learn to understand it. A hater on you is someone who's never met you, prejudges you, and they hate on you because you've got something that they maybe want, or they've never experienced what you've got. And someone who hates on you, who talks bad of you, it's a reflection of them, not me. So if someone's hating on me, I understand it's a reflection on them. Maybe they got some pain in their life. They depressed. They don't get how I got so goddamn rich so young, got such famous friends, such a privileged life, got amazing cars. What they should be doing, though, instead, Gary, is saying, and this happens in America, by the way, can I take you for lunch? DM me. Can I take you for lunch? I want to know how you managed to pull that off. I want to understand how you did it. And take you for dinner or just a Costa or go for a coffee and tell me how you did it. And that's what happens in the States. If they find out, if I go over to America now, they're like, oh, Matt, can we take you out for dinner? And they will quiz me. How did you get that Lambo? How did you get the Ferrari? How did you buy the mansion? How did you build your property portfolio? What can I do for you to teach me? In the UK, we've got this, it's not good to talk about money thing where they stab you in the back and so forth. But your haters are misunderstood people. Really, they're your lovers. I learned very early on, and if I didn't, I would have gone insane, because I complained to one of my famous friends. I called him up and I said, listen, I got people trolling on me, hating on me. The media are going to write this negative article about me and it's out of my control. And why are people like this? And he says, Matt, trust me, this is when you know you've made it. They're your free publicists. The haters are your free publicists. Let them talk about you. You've got to worry about it when they don't talk about you. Now ring me back when you got a real problem. Keep up the good work. Love you, bye. And he put the phone down on me.
Yeah, and it reminds me of a story when I went to go and get my car washed. And as I was getting my car washed, having the inside and outside done, I went and sat down, as you do at these places, waiting for it to be cleaned. And a Ferrari literally pulled into the car parking space with my daughter. And I got straight up. As soon as the guy was coming over, I was saying, "Nice car, mate," just to introduce that conversation. And then it led in. My first question was like, "Well, how'd you get it?" Which they don't do in the UK. And then it led to a whole conversation. He told me about his business. He told me how he had achieved it. He told me how many years. I asked him what challenges he had been through. I basically got a free coaching session for about 10 minutes with a guy who was running, an 8-figure business locally, that we ended up exchanging numbers and became friends off of the back of it.
I love that. And I see people in America who stop people and they build a business on it, and they literally, it's like the masterclass of masterclasses. They stop people with these incredible cars. What do you do for a living? A lot of time they get told to get lost, but they get these gems. Or can I go on your private jet and interview you? And they get to do it. And they got millions of views. They've got themselves a multi-million-pound business. And then that's the thing, Gary. When I'm out in my Lamborghini or a sports car, it causes a lot of attention, especially at fuel stations. Like, it gives me such great pride when parents come over. Any chance my kid can sit in that Lambo? It's their dream. Of course you can. That's what I bought the thing for. I use it for good causes. It makes me feel good. I race to children's hospitals when a kid's dying and it's their dream to go in a Lamborghini or a Ferrari. It makes you feel good, There's a sad element to it too, of course it is, but it's what you get to do. But people should be looking out there for answers and stop whinging. You cannot moan about things you can't control. So a lot of people blame the government on absolutely everything. We have zero control over the government. We didn't even have the last Prime Minister. We didn't even get involved with us, did we, about having a say in who was going to come in or not. What they're doing, we can't control. That's the economy. What you've got to do is build your own economy that you can control. So whatever they're doing, you just keep away from it. You just focus on obeying the law, pay your taxes, and just focus on your building your own economy.
I see too many people who are so focused on what other people are doing. I wish I had what that person had. I wish I was doing what they were doing. But it comes back to, they haven't seen the hardship that they've gone through. They're seeing the social media show reel of where they are now versus where it all began.
Yeah.
And then you get the whole comparisonitis, which stops people taking action, that stops people making forward. And that's where I think the biggest thing with jealousy comes in, is they're not actually strong enough to go and do it themselves.
And it's not that hard. How hard is it, Gary, to find something that you love to do? Your hobby, to turn it into your career, your passion into your profession, your information in your head, to package it up and put online. And I always teach you got to have 6 figures profit, not turnover. There's a lot of gurus, mentors, coaches out there talk about turnover all the time. That's BS. Turnover is vanity, ego. Profit is sanity. You focus on profit. Do not listen to the ones who preach turnover. So basically, success is very simple. Passion, profession, hobby into your career. Information you've got into a service, online or product. And then 6-figure income. Now, when I say that, people are like, oh, 6 figures. How are you going to 6 figures? That's like 100K a year. How'd you do that? Come on. You're telling me you can't find 20 people to pay you £500 a month for what you do out of 8 billion people in the world? Because we're worldwide now. Or let's look at just the UK alone. We've got nearly 80 million people living here. You're telling me you can't find 200 people to pay you $199 a month? It's not difficult. Or let's make it even easier. Let's find 10 quality people that you want to work with who to pay you £999 a month. There you go. That's 120 grand a year straight away. Then you take that money and then you invest it in an asset class. And I'm not a financial advisor, but my asset class of choice has never seen me wrong. I've been buying them since I was 18. Is property, real estate. And you do that the right way, and whichever way you buy, it's always going to, since property value records began, they've doubled every 10 to 15 years. So that's it. That is success. So I'll say it one more time. In a nutshell, you turn your passion, your profession, your career, your hobby, and make it into a business. You're going to need some mentoring on how to do that. I get that, because you're going to, how do I figure that bit out? It's not that difficult. You don't need to spend thousands on courses and all these course for this, course for that, course for this. Oh, dear me, it gets outrageous. And then 6 figures, or if you really want to go big, 7 figures, and then invest it into property. And what you said earlier was interesting. There's a difference between earning money and there's a difference between creating wealth. Wealth takes time to create. You can do 6 figures, 7 figures quite quickly. 10 grand a month, that's no big deal. You can do that. But building wealth takes time. You got to wait for the asset values to grow up and grow up. So my real net worth comes from my real estate, my property business, because I've had that since I was 18, early 20s, and I've held on to it. I've sold a few, and there's been big mistakes. I sold one for 38 grand, and now it's probably worth about 350. So the key is to never sell them. So that's my wealth. My big money has not come from the martial arts. Martial arts is my highest taxed. It's my cash flow that I use to generate wealth. Wealth building is a long-term game.
Simon Squibb says that property is not a business and it's a load of BS. What do you say with 300 plus properties?
Simon Squibb, lovely guy, fantastic, knows what he's doing, great entrepreneur. I know he likes to help people, but he's wrong on that. He's talking complete and utter nonsense. Property is the greatest asset class in the world, and they're never building any more land. Everyone needs a roof over their head. And I don't know why he says that, because if you look at the rich list, look at the top people all the time, it's all property tycoons. So I'm sorry, Simon. As much as you are good, an entrepreneur, a mentor, etc., you're wrong on that. And yeah, I have to disagree with Simon on that one.
So in all of the success that we're talking about, can you give me a time when you have experienced failure, how you dealt with it and what happened?
Yeah, entrepreneurs don't like talking about failure, do they, Gary? Up on stage, look at my Lambo, look at my helicopter, look at my private jet, look at my wonderful family. Yeah, behind the scenes, you go through some traumatic times. And I can reel them off. So, family member who tried to copy what I did, failed miserably. Very, very close family member too. Loved the person dearly. Very close in my life. Completely wouldn't have seen that coming at all. Best friend, training partner, decided to go along with that person as well. Lost my mum, my rock, right, my idol. Diagnosed first with breast cancer at 42. Came back, took her at 56. That was wake up call. Divorce. That was interesting. Thinking that I'm a big shot, I've got all this money, I'll get the best lawyers and I'll keep the kids and all the rest of it. Yeah, right. Try to tell that to the flipping judge. Judges don't know anything about business. He almost wrecked my business. He put all these restrictions on me for so many months. Doctors not understanding what to do with me because of I'm unusual. I'm not normal. I know that. I had very, very, very famous friends, and when they passed away, it's not normal bereavement. So prescribing me medication they shouldn't have done for a long time. I got addicted to a benzodiazepine called Valium, which quite easy to do after 2 weeks apparently. But I was seeing a different doctor each time. They're just prescribing me scripts because my Matt Fiddes and my best friend who passed away was super famous. Antidepressants for 4 years. So you imagine being depressed when I was worth 30 million then. I had Ferrari that I was driving around, my main car, Ferrari 360, brand new, 140 grand one. Mercedes SL 500. And I was on 2 types of antidepressants. Tried to commit suicide 3 times. So there you go. That's just a list of things. Life will throw us issues. Injuries. I know you've had a serious bicep industry. You could have just given up on default. You had an event that week. I was speaking at your event. And you went ahead and smashed it out. And I think that probably motivated you to make it the best event ever, didn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. And I think if I look back on my journey of starting my business in 2006, I've failed more times than I've succeeded. 2 years being a mortgage broker on the dining room table, we got hit by the credit crunch, couldn't sell mortgages, had to diversify into life insurance, let my best mate buy in, bought him back out. Then my first daughter came along and I was back to work 3 days after she was born because I had to be. Then I built almost 7-figure business that I absolutely hated in 2015. Started all over again, got rid of a team of 15, kept my PA, went gun-ho, having just taken on a bigger mortgage, having just increased my expenses, went back to ground zero. Spent £20,000 a month on low quality life insurance leads. But all of that is just bullshit. It's just noise. It's all part of the journey. And every lesson leads to more success. Every failure gets you one step closer to the destination. But going back to what we were talking about earlier, most people just don't want to go through that journey, that hardship, that struggle, that sacrifice to achieve the goals and the lifestyle that they truly want.
And the sleepless nights,
Oh,
the
yes.
unbelievable stress. I tell you what successful people do is that our body is conditioned to move towards pleasure and avoid pain. That's the way we're all wired up. If you want to be an entrepreneur, be successful, not just in money terms, but in athlete or whatever it may be, you need to move towards the pain because that's what's going to set you apart from the others. And people don't like moving towards that fire. You need to lift the heavier weights. You need to read the books. You need to attend the events. You need to study everyone in great detail who's been there and want to do what you want to do. Gary, I want to throw a question to you because I've never asked you about this before. And we both suffered the loss of our dear mums very young. And you don't have to answer if you don't want to. But for me, it was probably the most impacting, life-changing event of my life. See my mum lowered into the ground in a coffin, 56. I had a lot of money. I was buying experimental drugs, trying to save her 50 grand a pop. 3 kids, 7-year-old, 5-year-old, 4-year-old, watching Nanny go in the grave. Now, you lost your mum, I believe, at a similar age to me. What impact did that have on you? 'Cause for me, that woke me up to think, screw the material things, screw working all the hours. I'm going to block out time for my kids. And that was a game changer. And because of that, my business grew 3 or 4 times the size. A lot of it stays to do with mum looking down on me and that. But in a way, it wasn't a good thing, obviously. I love my mum to bits. I'd give everything up to have her back. But it was the biggest wake-up call of my life. And how did it affect you?
Losing mum was one of the most impactful things, having been what I would call a business sprinter, just constantly wanting to do more to achieve more. But when she was taken in to have major bowel surgery in the July of 2022, she had that operation. And by the time we got to October, it was already easy to see that dementia and Alzheimer's had set in. By the Christmas, she went in with a water infection and then came out just before Christmas, pretty much a vegetable. The last glimmer that we had from her, she stood up on Christmas Eve. She gave my dad a hug, my sister a hug. I was holding her up and sort of had a hug from the back. And then since then, she was gone. 2nd of January 23, she was then essentially given 48 hours to live, but we didn't realise she was in the middle of COVID. And I was basically at the house for 4 months until the April. So it had to, one, it made my team step up because I was out of the business. There was no way from that point of view that I could be there for 4 or 5 months. The business grew as a result of that because I got out of the way. Yeah. But it also made me reflect that time is short. Time is finite. You know, we can't continue to keep struggling all the time, sacrificing everything in sacrifice of something else. And the biggest thought for me was I feel very grateful and lucky that it happened the way in which it did, because I got almost a year, albeit some of it was horrendous seeing her in the situation that she would be, knowing that she would hate to, you know, be fully bathed and all that kind of jazz for the period of time. She hated being dependent on anybody. But at least I got to see that happen. I think from my perspective, the worst thing would have been she just died one day. So I always am a glass half full rather than a glass half empty individual. And as a result, me and my siblings became much closer. Life changed, businesses improved, because you just have to slow down. And actually, I've come to realize that lifestyle is vitally important. But much like the weightlifting analogy that we were talking about, I would rather, when I can, go through huge, massive sprints. I was up at 3:30 yesterday. You know, I didn't get into the house until 7:45. I didn't get to say goodnight to Rafferty yesterday. But when I'm off, because it's triathlon on Friday for 2 of my children, it was sports day last week. I wasn't working from 10 till 4. We're going on holidays for 10 days. I will never miss those things. So you sprint and you recover. You know, you lift, you grow during the rest time, not when you're doing the energy and the effort. But I think the biggest, that's
the biggest lesson. Yeah, it's a wake-up call, isn't it? It's an absolute wake-up call. And for me too, when I lost mum, when she went, I was numbed up on all these antidepressants and etc. The doctors filled me with all these drugs. I couldn't even cry at the funeral. But about a month later, I had this letter come through the post, and mum wrote a letter. The hospice sent it. Yeah, and that was pretty harsh. That was harsh. Like, I don't want to leave you behind, son. I'm hoping you're going to have more kids. I was single at the time. I'm sure you're going to marry Monique. She met Monique twice on a deathbed. And just remember what's important is your health. She home studied as a solicitor. She became a lawyer at 42. And I look back and think, why? That was probably a waste of time. Because she then got diagnosed with breast cancer. She actually blamed the breast cancer on the stress of home studying and doing a job. She didn't drink, she didn't smoke, she trained and kept in shape. And she reckons stress caused it, of studying it. And that letter, I haven't got it anymore. Reading it doesn't do my mental health any good whatsoever. But it was the biggest wake-up call. I think the hospice made her write each sibling, there's 4 of us, a letter. And it was pretty painful. When you do read that, you think, this Lamborghini ain't really worth any. It's a lump of metal, carbon fibre nonsense. And the kids, I mean, it's... and what's your view on work-life balance? Because how many kids you got? 4, right?
4 under 12.
Yeah, that's a handful. I mean, I got 21, 18-year-old, 17-year-old. In fact, I got to work it out. It's worrying. 10-year-old, 8 and 5. And she wants another one too. So, yeah. I don't believe there's work-life balance. I think it's nonsense. When I have to react, I have to react. Although, I'm good friends with the Cowell family, Simon Cowell's family. And Simon Cowell says something which is quite interesting, which is that emails after 5:30 in the afternoon, phone calls after 5:30 in the afternoon, there's pretty much nothing you can do between 5:30 and 10, 11, go to sleep, that you can change the matter. He damn right refuses to answer or take any of them in. So he spends that with his family, and then he just gets up and deals with it. Because there's nothing you can do to after that time. And I believe in that. I think that's for Simon Cowell to come out. I think that's a smart statement on work-life balance. Cut yourself off at 5:30. Any emails after that, don't receive. Don't respond to texts. Don't respond to calls. Unless it's your family, obviously. Cut it off. Maybe get your training in if you missed it. Go for a walk with your family. Nothing, I think his exact words were, nothing comes in after 5. They cannot wait until the next morning. Or if it's a major issue, this is what he said. If it's a major issue, Simon Cowell said, it's going to keep you awake all night. It's going to mess your head up. So deal with it in the morning when you've got a fresh head on your shoulders.
One of the biggest life hacks that I've got at the age of 43 for staying insanely lean is putting in your highest value work between the 9 and 5 hours, but saving your emails, saving your SMS, saving the notifications, and utilizing that as net time. So no extra time. Get a treadmill, walk uphill at gradient 8 for 30 minutes. You'll hit 130 beats per minute. Or get a spin bike, spin your wheels on that, do that time of answering all the phone and crap and everything else. And then you've actually finished your day and you're done. Then you can go in and have some balance with the family and kids.
You've got to make an effort to have balance, haven't you? I think if you have to react, you've got to react. And there's probably things in your business you're going to have to react to in the evening or whatever, or on a weekend. I do. There are certain things that I just have to react to. You know, it's simple as that. One of my houses burns down or something, I need to know about that. But again, it comes to your family understanding, doesn't it? And blocking out that time, making an effort to block it out. I think the big lesson is turning these things off. When I want to really cut off from the world, I know it sounds daft. I turn this phone off. I feel like I got my life back, even for 3 hours. And nothing, when I turn it back on, I think, oh dear, well, what's happened? And it's never any drama. Otherwise, I'll be looking at it the whole time. And I can relax, I can chill out, I watch with the kids. Turning the device off for communication that can get to you. If people want to get to you, that matters to you, they will have another means to get to you through your partner, the kids or whatever, won't they? But I think turning those devices off is very important sometimes.
We went on holiday a couple of years ago and I put my phone in a safe, phone and laptop in the safe for a week, and I vowed never to do any work. And I did have to get it out on the 28th because we stupidly always seem to go away over payroll time. And that's the thing that I still manually do. It's a nightmare trying to add a bookkeeper to your bank. So I just still do that. But outside of that, didn't touch my phone for 7 days. Absolutely amazing. Like you say, completely disconnected from the world pretty much. If people needed me, I gave people my wife's number. But I didn't have any distractions. I was 100% devoted to the kids. The problem was when we got back and I opened everything up, there was so much shit that I had to sort out that I said to myself, actually, I'm better off just doing an hour a day and then putting it in the safe for the rest of the day. But it's a game changer.
I knew you did this holiday experiment. I remember you talking to it. And I spoke to my wife about it the other day because we're going away for 2 weeks in August. And I want to do it, Gary. I want to leave my phone behind in England and not touch it for 2 weeks. But the thought of it scares the life out of me. And it's weird because the first holidays I had abroad when I was 18, 19, I didn't have a mobile phone. So what's different then to what it is now? But I'm just worried, is it going to mess up my holiday? Am I going to be thinking for 2 weeks, oh, gee, what's going on? What's that? Is that franchise all right? Is that person going to be okay? You know, yeah, the kids can get hold of me via other means, via the hotel if need be, or via my wife. But the thought of it is terrifying. Why do you think that is?
Because we're addicted.
We are addicted, aren't we?
Yeah.
Because we never used to go on holiday with our phones, did we?
Didn't have phones. I remember my dad having a Carlton Senator years ago and having a massive breeze block thing that he carried around and used to bring into the house like a briefcase.
So honestly, when you're away, you did this experiment for 7 days.
Yep.
At any time were you thinking, God, what's going on that phone?
No.
I need to just check in just for 2 minutes.
Yes, for the first half.
Yeah.
And then your brain slowly but surely realizes that it hasn't got it, and you're getting dopamine in other areas. Is really just it's all chemical inside you. But what you can't begin to realize is that everything doesn't break. Everything still carries on. You start putting tension and energy into other things.
I bet your kids loved it.
Yeah.
You watched me do that show, Rich House, Poor House, the other day, and the biggest thing, it was upsetting for me to watch, right? Because I didn't see the bit where they interview my kids, the outtake bit. I didn't see that until it came out. And seeing Lola and Savannah, my daughters, say at the end of it, this show got our daddy back. He's no longer on his phone all week. You're not allowed to use your phone. And he's been present with us the whole time. And we feel like this show. And I was like, oh, that's impacting.
Like a knife to the heart.
Yeah. Especially at the dinner table and stuff. The phones need to go off then. It's important. It's an interesting subject, isn't it?
I think it's really important. We have parameters. My 12-year-old does have a phone. My second daughter's turning 10 very shortly. She'll get a phone at Christmas like we did with the first one. But yeah, no phones at the dinner table. No phones when we're out. Never holding it in your hand. It's in a bag now, you know, so it's trying to get into that habit and routine, but it's hard because the first thing they do when they're walking out of school, iPad on, phone out, scroll through the short form, clickbaity kind of content, which trains the brain to think in seconds rather than minutes, rather than in hours. And equally, I'm even seeing it conditioned into my 12 and 9-year-old. My 12-year-old definitely had a performance for a Christmas panto, and she wants to straight away go into the lead role. It's like, no. You've got to cut your cloth. In any business, you start at the bottom and you work your ground up. You've got to put years and hours and practice into becoming the best thing. But the short form content is ruining the mentality of our kids, getting rid of the hard work. And the more we can take away the phone, I think the better it's going to be.
What's interesting, I saw Gary V. I'm not a big fan of his work, but this statement he came out with is so true, in my view. And when we talk about being addicted to our phones at the dinner tables, when you're on tubes or trains, everyone's on their phone, everyone's looking down on their phone, and you're looking around thinking, gosh, it's weird. But it's not weird. What Gary Vee said is very true. We forget so quickly. If we go back before these things were around, Gary, at the dinner table, on the trains, I do remember some flashbacks to it. You know, I'm not that, we sound like we're ancient, don't we? What did we have? We had magazines. We had newspapers. So you'd get on a train, you'd have the next Showbiz magazine or whatever, kids magazine, dinner table, newspapers were piled up. So it's just replaced the phone. It's just replaced what we used to have magazine-wise and newspapers. And I thought, you know what? He's got a point. It's not really changed. It's not a smartphone era. It's not addicted to on the table. Everyone's glued to, because we used to be glued to distractions. Other way, everyone's trying to get our attention, aren't they? That's the thing.
Constantly. Attention is the new currency. The bigger the attention, the bigger your audience, the bigger your following, the more money you're technically going to make further down the line.
Attention is key. You know, money goes where attention flows. The more eyeballs you can get on you, the more successful you're going to be. That's it. Competing for those eyeballs. That's all we're doing, all of us.
So what's been one of the most successful things in your entrepreneurial journey?
For learning the concept of franchising. it's been one of the most successful things in my entrepreneurial journey. It's the most misunderstood concept. If you've already got a business that's making money and it's profitable and it's been going at least 2 to 3 years, I call that a pilot, then it doesn't take you any extra effort or time or money to take that business and go, especially in today's world with technology and internet, go international with that business. It's the same Zoom, same webinar, same conference room hired out. So franchising for me was a game changer. If I tried to do it the corporate way where I employed everyone, I would probably be stuck at 250 locations by now. The fact that I franchised it, and we're getting close to 2,000 locations now, it was the game changer of everything. I have 2 employees, 1 freelance person who works in the warehouse. I have no stress. My duty is to come up with all the ideas, obviously, and scan the trends, rather than the ideas, be creative, represent the brand in a great way, get the information to them, do the marketing for them. Because there's 3 areas to business. There's marketing, there's sales, and there's getting what you to do, service your clients. And most people don't want to do 1 and 2. They don't want to market or sell. They just want to get on and do the service. Don't work that way. If you market or sell, you've got no one to serve. So franchising for me and coming across that subject blew me up in a way that no others do. And people try to copy me, but it amazes me why people just don't franchise their business. If you've got a business, why not have 100 of the same business? It's the same thing. No more headache.
And what's been the most rewarding thing from your entrepreneurial journey?
It's the people I've got to mix around, hang around, and not the material things, Gary. You would think so, wouldn't you? But it's not. Being able to get my child who was dying, basically died twice he died 3 times on me. I had to give him CPR, get him into the top consultant in London privately within days to have an emergency operation to save his life. Otherwise he'd be dead. And yeah, that when you can do that for your son, because you've built wealth, that's rewarding. Being able to help my kids build their future by the School of Hard Knocks, being out. I tell you, the most rewarding thing for me, it's just, I like helping causes. So I pay for breast cancer operations. I don't publicise who they are and all the rest of it because you're damned if you do or you don't. People say, oh, you should do it, but I don't want to because it's something I do behind the scenes. Helping out hospices, both the adults and the kids. Working for Simon Cowell's, with Simon Cowell and his charities, Together for Short Lives, children's hospices, because they're all privately funded, believe it or not. And he works damn hard on that behind us. He visits them and gets people involved. And what I get to do for being rich is my most rewarding thing for being an entrepreneur.
So how do you manage to keep your team motivated to that vision?
My team, just like I said earlier on about my students, my first students who said to me, we want to be with you, Matt, because you represent what I want my child to become, what we want to become. My team, I would hope, would look at me and think, Matt's got 6 kids, he's got an amazing wife, amazing marriage, he's got the balance right, he stays in shape, he's got the cars, he's got the house, he's got the investments, he's set up financially free for life, got a connection book. I want to be like Matt. But they may not necessarily want to do what Matt does. They don't want to be working to 1 in the morning, doing the podcasts, all over the place, Dubai, etc., back to back. I did 5 back to back yesterday. They want to leave that side to me. And for me, I think you can't put a price on that. All the mistakes I've made, all my franchisees won't make, because I tell them, don't do this. It's much more valuable learning people's mistakes than it is learning what to do. So if I turn around to them and say, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. But it's amazing how people, Gary, say, yeah, but that won't work in my town. Or no, that won't work here. Everyone's the same. It will work. And that's when if they got that kind of attitude, you can't overturn that mental block. You need to move on. But that's, for me, I hope they look at me and think, he is my ultimate business partner as a franchisor or mentor. And he will do the bits I don't want to do. He'll look out for me because he only gets paid on what I get paid. And yeah, and I treat them all like a family too. They're a family to me. I know their kids' names, if they're ill, when they're on holiday, where they go on holiday. Not all 1,800 of them or so, but I'm pretty well connected to them all.
So what do you think is the most critical factor for long-term business success?
If you want long-term longevity in business, you need to be ethical, honest, transparent. You need to be able to offer that due diligence to people to say, here's my books, here's my property portfolio, here's how much I earn. I'm not one of the fake it till you make it. You've got to be willing to do that. You've got to genuinely care about your clients, your franchisees, your customers, really care about them. I got a request for a video today for a child who's been very ill. I'll have that done. I've got a lot of things to do today. I'll have that done and out to them. And I'm recording them constantly. This is nuts, right? This is how far I took it. In lockdown, I wanted to give my franchises something they'd never had before. I wanted to go again. I love a challenge, and this was the biggest challenge I ever faced. I recorded every member a personal video message, not a generic one. So everyone who graded online or who's doing well or who's lacking, who's a bit nervous about COVID, I'll get brief details like this child's a yellow belt and they're a bit concerned their mum and dad might die of COVID. But they're turning up to online lessons. So I said, no problem. I've got a name. Hi, Lucy. It's Matt Fiddes. I hear you're doing really, really well. Don't worry about the COVID. We're going to get through this. These times, bad times shall pass. And let's make you the ultimate black belt. Let's keep you going and keep training hard. And I'll see you on the next video. And your instructors keep saying some great things about you. Boom. Send it to my team. I was doing 1,000 of them a day. Mad. Absolutely mad. Locked away in my bedroom by my wife because she was scared of the virus situation. And I was just banging out those videos on everything from get well soon. If they caught COVID, I'll record them a video. Now, those little personal videos from me, going the extra mile, stopped those students from quitting, thinking, Matt actually does care. Because I could have just done, hey, everyone, or hey, how are you doing? I heard you're doing well, generic one. I did them all personally, name by name, and the parents too. And that kept our retention of clients right up there. I go against the grain, Gary. I do things that others won't.
How do you stay motivated during those tough times?
I don't really believe in motivation. I think it's a load of nonsense. And we can be motivated one day and down the next. We're human beings, man. We're programmed to go up, down, all over the place. Things happen throughout the day. One phone call could knock us off as we go there. And I mentioned Tony Robbins a lot. I do respect Tony Robbins, by the way. But if you go to his 3-day first event, Unleash the Power with him, you'll come away absolutely buzzed. Now, I've seen people who are married, who go alone and they leave their wife behind. They come back after the 3 days. Well, hey, I'm going to change my life. The wife thinks, you're brainwashed by Tony Robbins. You're completely mad. You're not the man I married. Unless they go together, it don't work. And I find that too. My franchisees, my mentors, my clients who I mentor, they've got to bring their partners with them, husbands or wives with them. Because if they're not there, they don't get it. They just will not get it. So motivation, I don't really believe in that. So of course, if you've got the big enough why, you're going to go after it. You're going to be naturally motivated. You don't need to be getting in state and all this stupid stuff, which I don't believe Tony does anyway, in my own opinion. You're going to be motivated by a goal that you set with a big enough why to transform your life or other people's lives and get up and achieve it. And some days you're going to be up, some days you're going to be down. But being around the network of people that you can ring out to or listen to a podcast or get you back up there, you just got to understand that's normal. So this whole staying hyper, that's not healthy. That is not healthy. You're going to burn out at some point. If you're going to try and stay motivated in the morning and meditate and then get in your state and be psyched up for the day, eventually you're going to come crashing down. And I know because I've been there.
So what role does personal development play in personal or professional success then?
I think personal development is being abused at the moment. And I think that's born out of the pandemic. Clubhouse, the app, were you on that?
Yeah.
I think Clubhouse was great at the time, but it's done a lot of damage. The massive explosion of online coaches, mentors, gurus, and in person is frightening. Now, I'm a man who's been around this industry for a long time now, nearly 3 decades. I got in young, 17. And I know the real ones, the fake ones. I have been sucked in a few times. I won't mention their names, where I thought people were making 20, 30 million a year and they're not lucky to make 500,000 a year. It's turnover. It's not profit. I have been sucked in where I thought they own the chopper and they don't own the chopper. They own the jet and they don't. It's all a load of absolute, utter nonsense to sell get-rich-quick courses. Or people have got rich by selling get-rich courses. That don't make any sense to me, but that happens on a high level, especially in America. So I don't like that. I am very frustrated about that, as you can tell. It really upsets me that people are spending their hard-earned cash on these time wasters who've never been there and done it before. And I've confronted some of these time wasters, these mentors, coaches, who've got no history. And I said to them, do you think it's right you taking 10, 11 grand off this person for years mentoring in your niche when you've never actually made the money in yourself? You've never done it yourself. You may have a big building and a nice car and a nice home, but do you think it's right? And they'll shrug their shoulders and they'll say, well, I made £500,000 last year, Matt. But who's the fool? Is it me for taking their money and facilitating the room? Or is it them for not asking me and for the due diligence of what I did prior? Because no one seems to ask anymore. That's just the crazy thing. And then the other justification these fake online coaches, face-to-face mentors have too is, if they don't buy it from me, they would have bought it from someone else anyway, so I might as well take the money. That's just awful, Gary, to me. I don't see it right. And if you want sustainability, the question you asked earlier, in this business, that's not a sustainable business model. You're going to get found out in the end. People are going to start thinking, oh, I want to see your numbers. I don't believe this. You're going to run out of clients. There's something that's going to go pop. You're going to feel uncomfortable in your skin. You can tell the ones that are uncomfortable in their skin, who keep putting out posts, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. Screw everyone. I don't care what people think I'm happy. Well, if you keep putting a post out like that, it means you're seriously unhappy and you do care what people think about it, doesn't you? So for me, it annoys me because when I was coming through the entrepreneur world, this didn't exist. Everyone was genuine. They were all millionaires. They would not call yourself a millionaire or billionaire unless you were one. And it's frustrating. This whole book publishing thing's got out of hand. I mean, back in the days where you had a real book, now you could just make it number one, I believe. I only found it recently. You could become a New York bestseller, number 110 if you pay so much money, or Sunday Times if you pay this much money. It's frightening. So people don't know what to believe anymore. So do your due diligence, everybody. And it frustrates me. That's why I'm ranting on about it. But I pick up the pieces of people who spent £60,000 on multiple property courses that I could teach them HMO in half an hour, service accommodation 45 minutes, buy-to-let model half a day, Airbnb. That'll all be regulated up soon anyway. These are all fads anyway. And these people are paying like 25, no money down. Well, your mortgage broker. Is that a thing anymore?
No.
It's not, is it?
No.
It used to be a big thing. My first 47 houses with no money down. I used to rent it back to tenants. None, of course, no money down. You don't need a course for this, a course for that, a course for this, a course for that. And I'm sorry if I upset people, because there are some great people out there who do this. But by the time you added all this up, you would have spent close to 100K. I literally could teach you all that in a day. Done. Dusted. And you come back once every 3 months for an update. It's as simple as that. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but it's just not rocket science. It's not. How do we all work it out then? How do we do it? We know none of this. We don't have rent to rent. We don't have rent service accommodation. We don't have Airbnb. We just bought family homes over, and I said, try to get as cheap as we possibly can. And you buy it and you hold it for the long term. It's as simple as that. And you just got to be careful and do your due diligence on what you buy for. Anyway, what's your thoughts on today's outburst of coaches, mentors, fake it till you make it? And how do you really tell? Have you ever been sucked in?
Yeah, many a time. Some of the coaches that I've worked with or mentors that I've worked with have taught me things, what not to do rather than actually things to do. But, I've spent in excess of 330,000 on my own business marketing, personal development, but I can attribute that knowledge that compounds consistently over time to probably more than 6 million in turnover. But it goes back to something we were talking about earlier, which is, I would say that I'm in the small percentage of people that go a mile deep instead of a mile wide and actually implements most of what I learn, where a lot of people don't.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, right? So if you're a course provider or a mentor and it don't work out, I'd love to know the stats of people who come to these courses, masterminds, go away and actually make it, because I don't see that ever measured. Like podcasts, say
Very
podcast
few
course.
percentage.
I've been on a lot of podcasts, but they're the ones who've been around a long time. I don't see many new ones exploding. Yet the podcast agencies are rammed at the moment. So what's going on there? So I'd love to know the people that make it. But then again, if you're a mentor, you'll say, well, the person didn't take action. But then I hear it from the other side, because I'm the one that pick up the pieces, and say, they're not teaching me what to do. I can't get my question in, Matt. There's too many people in the room. And it's too high level for me or too low level. And I just can't get one question I answer. And I spent 25K and I should get access. Or I'm told I get access to my mentor, yet they never respond to me, ever. Or it's group message, a generalized one. And I'm sorry, someone spent 25, 30K to me. I would get back to them. If it might take 72 hours, well, I'll get back to them. If it's urgent, I'll get back to them as well. On a WhatsApp, it's no big deal. Why can't you do that? I mean, it's a privilege for someone to respect you to give you that money.
The majority of mentors and training people out there treat it like a money-making scheme. And they're not necessarily bothered about their clients' success and outcomes. The reason why you're successful is because you treat it like martial arts. In martial arts, you have grades, you get belts, you get better, but you have to continue to keep doing the basics over and over again. How many times do you throw a left punch, a right punch, a kick? You're doing the same thing over and over again, but not just that, you're being held accountable. You're not being able to move up to the next level until you've done your kata or passed your grade or whatever it is. The problem in the training industry is they get 50 people in a room who have all paid, they train them, and then they're left to their own devices. Actually, if it was broken down into a martial arts class whereby you turn up and you do a little bit, but you're not allowed to move to the next step until you've completed that, more people would get success and there'll be more success in the training space.
I get it. Because what I do, I just lump it all together, Gary. This is what fascinates me. I'd love to go on these courses one day to find out what they actually all teach, because I cover in one day, every 3 months, we cover social media. I know you do a similar thing. Social media, all aspects of property investing, any challenges they got, fitness, health, offline media, everything. All the property strategies, franchising, and I get through the day and still have time left. So what on earth, how do they drag this out a year or 2 years? It fascinates me. But again, like you said, you spent 350K. You just need one damn good idea off that and you got that money back. So I'm not dissing it, but it's just not for me because I've been raised in a different era. I've probably got, I would say, at least 12 years on everyone else on the industry because I got in so young. There was no pitching when I was going to these events at 17, 18. There were just 3-day events and there was no pitching. There's no such thing. No word as pinch. The word content wasn't even around. To me, that's like a bizarre word. It was information. That was it. Masterminding wasn't around. It's called networking. So this is all like terminology that's been brought in, I think. And yeah, it fascinates me. And it's down to the people. I do think there is a duty if you're going to buy for someone claiming to be a multi-millionaire. Do you think it's wrong for them to ask for their person's accounts, statements, profit and loss, proof of assets before they hand over 25, 30K or 11 grand, their life savings basically, or remortgage their house?
No, I think with everything you should ask for proof of concept. It's like I always think about fitness being an analogy. Why would I go to a fitness coach that doesn't necessarily want to look the way that I want to look? Now, yes, you can take into account biomechanics and all that kind of stuff and genetics and everything. But if they look like that, of course, you can check, are you taking steroids? Is probably a question that you might want to ask her. Yeah, but yeah, you've got the reason to do the due diligence, so you can then therefore understand. Ask for the bank statement, ask for credibility, ask for proof, look to see other testimonials. If I work with somebody, my method is gorge all their free stuff, go to something that's low cost to get to know them a little bit better on a closer side of things, then maybe pay for the little bit of next up. But before I do that, I'm going to speak to a few people at that kind of event to see what else is going on to make sure that there's proof of concept out of the back of that. But like you say, most people don't do the due diligence.
Yeah. Fascinates me. Fascinates me.
So what role does mentorship play in business then?
Mentorship is extremely important. If you want a quick route, there's no get rich quick scheme. There's a get rich slow scheme, a building wealth slow scheme. But you need a mentor who's been there and done it. He really has been there. You just copy what they've done and just get on with it, really. It's as simple as that.
And the mentor did it 5, 10, 15 years ago, potentially. How do you stay up to date in the latest trends of what's going on?
Yeah. So what worked like even pre-COVID time, before 2020, what worked then don't work now. Strategies changed. People can also experience overwhelm with too many things thrown at them. When only that you only need like one or two things. I have this saying: don't chase any more than one rabbit at a time, because people try and do multiple things, and you can't do it. You got to get one right, income stream, 6, 7 figure, then do your test case. Don't try and do these multiple things. I think why that gets confusing, there's a lot of talk about having multiple streams of income, but that concept's been misunderstood. It's multiple streams of income within your business. So let's take my martial arts business model. I've got joining fee. I've got the direct debit payment. I've got gradings. I've got events. I've got birthday parties. I've got merchandise. I've got parents' night out. Which we've got ladies self-defense. We've got ladies only classes. We have school talks. We have the schools pairs. There's 16 income streams basically. So I've got multiple income streams within my business. That's what you do. And then you go and do another one. What you don't want to be doing is trying to get 16 income streams, because that would be, you just couldn't do it. Your brain just can't cope with that unless you're some kind of utter genius. And I do know a few of them. You can do that, but it's very, very hard to do. You're going to experience overwhelm and fail, and somebody's going to get neglect on that. But no, it's a very misunderstood world. I think there's good and there's bad. Andrew Tate is the big name out there at the moment, isn't he? And he's blowing up all over the place. And yeah, that's a fascinating one.
Would you fight Andrew Tate for charity or Jake Paul?
I wrote Andrew Tate a letter and he didn't respond, which is probably because he's not what he says he is. I would love to fight Andrew Tate, but only for a good cause. I would like to do it to raise money for Simon Carroll's charity Together for Short Life, so children's hospices. I think it's a great cause. I wrote a letter to Andrew into his bunker where he's hiding out in Romania, and he never responded to me. And yeah, so Andrew, if you're listening, let's do it. Let's do it and raise millions for charity. I would love to beat you. I can't wait to beat you. I think you need knocking down a peg or two. And I know you're probably too busy, whatever you're doing with OnlyFans or whatever it is they say you're doing. But yeah, if it can be arranged and there's promoters out there who would like to do it, then I'm back training hard. The only thing I'd want with Andrew Tate, though, if it's going to happen as a condition, and I put that in his letter to him, I'd want him drug tested for steroids and growth hormone and anything else you could possibly take performance enhancing every week leading up to the night of the fight.
Do you think Andrew Tate is really a billionaire?
I don't think Andrew Tate is a billionaire whatsoever. No. It's complete and utter nonsense. Just like he says he's got 11 wives. Why would you live in Romania in a replica of basically Osama bin Laden's shack where they found him and assassinated him? Why would you live there if you're a billionaire? No one really knows how he made any money. No one really knows how he's buying all these cars. Although I got a damn good idea. You just wouldn't, would you? You wouldn't be living there and putting yourself in this position, walking around with your top off with a cigar, telling girls, get me a sandwich and all this stuff, making a complete utter fool of yourself just to go viral on the internet. I mean, that guy's been trying to get famous for years. He got kicked off Big Brother. I've never even heard of the bloke, and I'm in the martial arts industry, leading the industry, but he's one of the many champions, so forth. But he's walking around with his stupid tattoos on. You know, he's clearly, in my view, he's jacked up to the eyeballs. And why would you do that? Why would you live in Romania if you're a billionaire? I don't even think he's a millionaire. I know how the celebrity world works. When you're famous and you go viral and you're the man in the moment or the woman in the moment, you get given the top cars. You get given the Rolls Royces. I've seen that with Michael, where people will ring up and Michael Jackson will be given the latest Mercedes and he'll just say, send it to Neverland. And then when something goes wrong, when your brand is disrupted or something, they take the cars off you. So when he says, oh, I don't know where my cars are gone, they're not in my name because I'm hiding them from the establishment. Give me a break, Tate. You never even had those cars in the first place. They've just been taken off you. Like the Bugattis, I'm sure Bugatti loved all the publicity they were getting off TikTok. And I think Bugatti's been mentioned as many times as he can. What I do respect him for is how he's hacked virality and he can say things and his shorts go viral like no one's ever done. Is he a billionaire? No. Is he someone I look up to? Absolutely not. Would I take advice off him? Definitely not at all. And the other one too, smoking the cigars, who thinks he's James Bond walking around. What's his name? Tristan or something? fact,
his
I got to
brother,
ask.
his
His
brother.
name shows it. Yeah, his brother, basically. I mean, what the heck's it all about? I mean, I got a friend who's been out to his house and stuff and hanged out with him, and it's just you wouldn't live like that if you're a billionaire. You wouldn't be in Romania. You wouldn't have doing what you do. You wouldn't be messing around doing TikTok videos. Who does TikTok video? Who does podcasts with their top off with a cigar? I mean, what a plonker. I mean, it's just trying to wind people out. So Tate, if you're watching, let's get it on, man. I want to return to fighting. I'm training hard. I'm 45 now. I'm in better shape than you. And but yeah, I want you steroid drug tested right up until the event. Let's raise money for Simon Cowell's charity for Children's Hospice. Let's do some good for it. Let's go YouTube, or Jake or Logan Paul. Let's get it on too. Let's do it. They're all doing it. I'd love to have a big challenge to do. Now that I'm at this mid stage of my life where I've got more time to train, but he won't take me up on it because he hasn't got the guts, because he knows I'm going to beat him. So I'm a real martial artist.
So team, I hope you've enjoyed this absolutely awesome episode with Mr. Matt Fiddes. Make sure that you go and check it all out. But before we do, Matt, where's the best place for people to go and find you?
Best place to go and find me is go to a website, www.mf.club. Go there, scroll on the bottom, all my social medias there, my Instagram, etc. I answer all my DMs, not VAs, it's me personally. And I'd love to hear from you all.
Guys, I really hope you've enjoyed this episode. I look forward to seeing you next week on the next one, when we'll have another exceptional guest or hack for you to build a better business. Remember that a lifestyle entrepreneur is someone who focuses on mind, body, and business. See you next week.